Good morning students. Today we are going to discuss paper 4 practical, that is major experiments. Yesterday we have already discussed regarding the minor experiments of paper 4th. So it consisting of three more, normally it is having 4 experiment, it includes 4 experiment, but we are going to discuss only the 3 experiment. First experiment, that is first experiment, that is air sampling, that is SOx and NOx. So this is the experiment which we have already did it in semester first, so we are not going to repeat it again. So it is related to the sampling of the SOx and NOx, then trying to find out what is the amount of SOx and NOx which is present in the atmosphere, and what are the different permissible limit of SOx and NOx. So if this sulfur dioxide or sulfur related compounds or nitrogen related compounds, they are liberated from the industry, it pollutes the air and it is hazardous to the health. So its concentration is to be maintained, and quality should be checked, air quality should be checked. For this experiment is performed, that is air sampling, that is SOx and the NOx, nitrogen related compounds and the sulfur related compounds. Next, coming up to the next experiment, that is PPE and NRP. So here PPE stands for personal protective equipments. So at the workplace, what are the different type of personal protective equipment should be worn in order to prevent the hazards? We are actually not reduce the hazard itself, nor does it guarantee the permanent or total protection, but it should be used only when the hazards cannot be removed or controlled adequately. Proper PPE depends upon the nature of individual task and hazard exposure. So PPE varies. If a person who is trekking, then their PPE equipments will be different. If a person is doing work related to the welding, then its PPE equipments will be different. If a person is handling certain gases or working somewhere in the fertilizer industry or manure industry where the methane gases are normally liberated, then the PPE equipments will be different. So what does this PPE is? PPE is an equipment which is worn by the person to minimize the exposure to specific occupational hazards. So what we are doing? We are by means of wearing the PPE, what we are doing? We are minimizing the exposure to the certain hazards. Next is the preparation of DMP, disaster management plan. This is disaster management plan. So disaster management plan is somewhat related to, it is related to the preparedness. You can say that it is related to the preparedness, preparedness of emergency disaster. So many disasters which used to struck India and other countries, and this may be not only the natural disaster but also the man-made disaster. So disaster may be earthquake, it may be it may be flood, it may be cyclone. So these are the certain climatic related disaster. Besides the disaster, certain disaster like explosion in the boilers, explosion in boilers, heavy leakages, sometimes fire, and oil storage tank, fire in the oil storage tank, accidental release of huge quantity of petroleum, etc. These are certain disasters which are man-made. So what is disaster management plan? What it is nothing but the preparedness of the emergency. हम emergency के लिए क्या करते हैं, एक तैयारी करके रखते हैं. That is said to be disaster management plan. So these are the few examples of the personal protective equipments. So these are the different types of personal protective equipments which can be used in order to resist from the injury. You can find out goggles, you can find out jackets. If the trekkers, they used to avoid from the fallout. Headgear is present, boots and shoes is present, gloves are present. So what is PPE? PPE is personal protective equipments. Personal protective equipments. The PPE is precautionary step to protect yourself and the people around you. So why this PPE should be worn? In order to protect yourself and the people around you. Next is that PPE is specialized clothing or equipments worn for protection against dangerous and infectious material. So while doing certain work or certain profession, we must come or a person may come in contact with the infectious material. So in order to avoid this infectious material, PPE is worn. So PPE is specialized clothing, एक special type of clothing होती है और equipment design किया होता है, equipment worn for protection against the dangerous or infectious material. Next, PPE prevents contact with the infectious agent by creating a barrier. वो क्या करता है, एक बैरियर तैयार करता है between the potentially infectious material and the public health practitioner. तो एक practitioner and infectious material के बीच में एक बैरियर तैयार करता है, that is PPE. So this is exactly the meaning of PPE, personal protective equipments, or certain equipments which is worn by the person in order to save itself from the injury. PPE does not reduce the hazard in itself, nor does it guarantee the permanent or total protection. मतलब PPE क्या करता है, एक total protection आपको नहीं, it doesn't guarantee the permanent protection कि हाँ पापा headgear डालने के बाद you are safe. It is not like that, but it should be used. Why? Because it reduces the injury. क्या करता है, पब्लिक एक्सपोजर जो प्लेस होता है, वर्किंग प्लेस होता है, वहाँ पे क्या करता है, जो एक्सपोजर है उसको मिनिमाइज करता है. तो इट शुड बी यूज्ड ओनली व्हेन द हैज़ार्ड्स कैन नॉट बी रिमूव्ड. जब हम हैज़ार्ड्स को रिमूव नहीं कर सकते हैं तो उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए हम क्या करते हैं, वी यूज टू वेयर द PPE. नाउ कमिंग अप टू द गैसेस. So gases, a variety of disabling gases included. So workers जब एक मैन्यूअल लाइक इंडस्ट्री या फिर फर्टिलाइजर इंडस्ट्री, यहाँ पे साइट पे जब काम करते हैं, they used to face certain gas related problems or fumes. These gases are already liberated from the sides, or it is often liberated from the sides. So these gases may be the nitrogen oxide, hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, carbon dioxide, methane. These gases are produced at the site and during many routine fumes operations. So these are the gases which are produced during the routine operations, and these gases are commonly produced in areas such as manure production and exposure to the low level. So if you are exposed to these gases at a low level only, they may produce the lung and eye irritations. Sometimes it may cause dizziness, drowsiness, and the headache. And if high levels will quickly render a worker unconscious and death will follow. अगर लो लेवल पे हुआ तो it may affect the lungs, eye irritation, dizziness, छोटा मोटा. We can say that we will feel weakness, sleeping like tendency can be seen. But if a person is exposed to the high level, then they used to become unconscious. 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 And sometimes death will also follow. So you have already heard methyl isocyanate, which was leaked by the carbide industry. That was nothing but the pesticide industry that many people died of because of the liberation of certain gases. So death also occurs due to the liberation of these gases, and if these gases are present in the atmosphere in a high level, then it is very dangerous. The next source of the chemicals is the farm chemicals. Normally the pesticides. So pesticides, they may include herbicides, insecticides and fungicides. So pesticide industries, they are the main source of certain hazardous chemicals, because in case of pesticide what we are doing, we are killing an organism. It may be herbs, plants, it may be insect, or it may be fungi. These are all also the organism which can survive. So somewhere if they are affecting certain organism, then it will also affect the human being. So certain hazardous chemicals are utilized while the production of the pesticides, and these pesticides are considered to be hazardous. Next, coming up to the fertilizers. So fertilizer may include ammonium nitrate. It is again dangerous. So the chemical sources may be pesticide, it may be fertilizer, and nowadays you have seen sanitizer. This sanitizer is consisting of calcium hypochlorite. Calcium. So the sanitizer is consisting of the calcium hypochlorite, and the battery acids. Battery acids are common form chemicals which produces the harmful fumes. So these are the certain sources which produces the harmful fumes. Harmful fumes. So, depending on the circumstances, PPE should include many of the following. So, what are the different equipments which is to be worn? And PPE equipments may include gown, apron, coverall in order to protect the body. So, in order to body protection or protect the body, we used to wear the apron and the gown. Next is the shoe cover in order to protect the foot, hair cover in order to protect the head, respirator in order to avoid the inhalation or using the mask. So in case of corona, they used to inhalation or certain infections related diseases are there, therefore they are used to wear the mask. So if at all possible, we have to, or the people has to wear the mask as the respirator where there is a fumes or certain gases related tribulations are present. So respirator apparatus should be worn. Next, goggle in order to protect the eyes. Face shield should be worn, and where there is liberation of fumes, gases, etc. So here face shield as well as goggles can be worn. Next is the gloves. So these are the different or equipments which should be worn at the workplace. So along with this video, I am going to send you the two experiment, that is PP as well as DMP plan, disaster management plan PDF. So please go through it and respond to the feedback. Thank you. See you tomorrow.